Hello, friends. All right. Perhaps I need to invite Jay because I don't know how this works. There he is. I was
Oh,
just
you mean the giant green button that says "Go on stage"? You mean that
well,
one?
well, I wasn't sure if I clicked it if it would kind of just bring us all there.
Yeah.
All right.
It's great
Hello,
to see you, friend.
friends. It's great to see you. What's going on in parenting world today?
Oh, geez. My favorite little phrase is yogurt shoulders, right? Like you show
Mhm.
up on Zoom and you realize you have yogurt on your shoulders. Because for me, it's a 3-year-old who likes yogurt in the morning, right? So that's like that's the name of my new children's book, Yogurt Shoulders: The Tiny Things They Don't Tell You About Parenting Tiny Humans. And like, there's just a bunch of those in there. Maybe you and me and a bunch of friends should write this book and donate proceeds to charity or something.
I love it.
So
Let's do it.
yeah, yeah. So yogurt shoulder. I had a yogurt shoulders kind of day.
Ah, I get it. Yeah. I yesterday was in the phase of, or had the moment of baby was spitting up or like about to spit up.
Mm-hmm.
And you've kind of just gone past like trying to clean it up. And I'm like, ooh, let me just like make sure I catch it with my clothes. So we're
Yeah,
there.
yeah. No, your clothing, your hands. There's just these are tools now.
Yeah.
Hey Todd. Hey Daniel. Courtney. Joe. Jenny. Christine. Rohit. Dave. Good to see you all.
So Christine gets yogurt and sprinkles on her shoulders. That's pretty good.
Yep. Yep.
So we just started letting our older son play Nintendo Switch, and we've tried so hard to do the no screens for the longest time,
Mm-hmm.
and he's playing video games now. He's playing Super Mario Odyssey. And you know what? He is so much happier and he is more engaging and he's having fewer tantrums. It's
Okay.
really interesting.
Nice.
And this is not, it's not to say like, hey, let's all just like stick our kids in front of a TV and problem solved. It's, I think what's interesting is he's like learning how to solve problems, right? He's really engaged with the thing that's happening. He's
Sure.
asking for help. We're playing together and we're like collaborating. And I'm like, oh, if you hit A and then Z, um, then you can like smash things with Mario. Like it's a whole thing that's very collaborative and I don't
Nice.
know. It's kind of fun. It's fun to see him learn video games.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wonder if that's in my future at all, because I swore off video games way, way before having kids because I'm such a completionist that I would just like lose myself into finishing whatever game there is. So when I see like
Mm.
the new Zelda games coming out, I'm like, oh, forget it. Like I would disappear from life. Can't do it. Um, but hey, I'm seeing Antonio,
All
Scott,
right.
Stefan, Holly, Joey, Trona. Hello.
Um, I think Rand is backstage.
Yeah.
I think, it would be nice if there were a button where, oh, I could move him on stage. Let's see.
There we go. Hey.
Hey,
Hello, Rand.
Goldcast changing the Goldcast interface every
I
day.
know.
It's
I
different
know.
again.
I wonder about this from a UX perspective. If they're like, hey, we think we can make it even better, not realizing that change is actually a detriment to the product when you have users who are familiar with it. This is
Yeah, because
quite a challenge as a product designer.
it's like materially different each time we do this, isn't it? Like, or there are like 2 or 3 key features that are different.
Yeah. Choices were made. Anyway, Jay, so when I send you the pitch for our video game, you're just going to say no outright?
Well, no, but I have the burden of knowledge, and it involves my ancestry in Italy in food in some ways, doesn't it? There's something there.
This is true. Well, and I do
So
like what you said. Like, for example, the Zelda games where you are going to lose 100 hours to it. With Snack Bar, a big thought of mine is that I think, particularly given the target demographic that we're going after with our game, you want more of a 20, 25 hour experience maximum. And that, I think this informs sort of all product and marketing strategy, right? You choose your audience, you choose how you're going to create something special and unique for them that's going to fit all of their needs and desires, and then you build the thing to suit that rather than sort of trying to maximize for, I don't know, content overall.
Yeah, almost like when you respect your users and that your users' entire existence isn't to be on your platform or use your product, like you make a more delightful product.
So this is one beautiful thing about the economics of video games, apart from mobile games, but is you buy them once and then you own it kind of forever for as long as you want. And I sort of love products like that because it really creates an incentive for the team who makes it to create this one beautiful, perfect thing. And I think this is true a little bit with SparkToro too, because we're this weird kind of software where a lot of people buy the product, use it for a few months, and then leave. And there's no sort of lock you in, right? It's not like a HubSpot where it, has all your data or an analytics tool or something where you have to get approval or like install it on your site or something. And so the product itself kind of has to deliver. Yeah. Incentives, they drive everything.
Yeah, right.
Amanda, how's it going? I'm so sorry we didn't get to take you to the zoo yesterday.
I'm so sad. I missed the zoo yesterday. It would have been lovely. It's a great summer activity.
It was very cool. And we got to see, there was a very active octopus, which for those of you who visit aquariums, you might know that
not a thing.
I think both are acceptable, octopuses and octopi, right?
Octopopuluses. They are real. Once they're in captivity, they're usually super chill and they don't move around very much. And this octopus was going wild. It was doing this thing where it like kept sort of jumping to the top of its tank and then like floating down and going all over. Yeah, amazing.
I think that was the team they rejected for Legends of the Hidden Temple, I believe, was the Active Octopi. That is a deep cut reference that now aged me perfectly. Welcome to the show.
Jay is having his brat summer. All right.
We're still learning. We need to make the slides lime green. That's all I got. That's all I got.
Wait, is it lime or slime? I thought it was slime green.
Oh God, I don't know. I think it is slime. I mean, I think you're right. Jay is brat.
Does anyone who's studied brat know it's supposed to be slime? Okay, slime. Yes.
Okay. I'm all right. Got to order some slime green clothes. I think that's how that works. No, I think actually brat aesthetic is like white tanks. Anyway.
Well, I want to welcome everyone who has joined the SparkToro webinar today for office hours. Jay Acunzo is a good friend and a wonderful storyteller, and my colleague Amanda has put together an incredible talk with him. I am just here to be the peanut gallery, but as part of the introduction, I would like to say that, Amanda, we always get a few questions. What are the questions that we almost always get when we do one of these?
Okay, the first question is, how did you get this speaker, aka Jay Acunzo, to speak here? Which we'll cover next. The second question that we often get is, will I get the recording and will I get the slides? Friends, yes and yes. The recording will be available on this very page as soon as we are done. And then either later today or tomorrow, you'll get a follow-up email that has instructions for how to access the recording and has the slides. And then maybe, spoiler, maybe, you'll get a special offer for a special thing. Stay tuned on that. And with that, I think we will get into intros. So
if folks want to ask questions, where would they do that, Amanda?
Yes, question. So one, you can, drop in your reactions, notes, thoughts directly here in the chat, as you lovely people have already been doing quite intuitively. If you have a question for Jay, please try to put it in the Q&A, which is it's at the tab near the top where it says chat messages Q&A. That way, if you add questions here, you can all upvote each other's questions so that helps us prioritize what to ask and answer after the presentation. And did I cover everything, Rand? Did we miss anything?
I think you crushed it. I mean, I do want to know what the XCX stands for in Charlie XCX, but that I think I'll put that in the Q&A tab for the end.
Yeah, please do that. And then people can, unfortunately, we cannot downvote questions. Just upvote or neutral. Kiss, cuddle, kiss. Okay. Is that true?
Well, so apparently one of the things that she likes to do is tell every interviewer, media outlet, and fan something different in order to create an air of mystique around the actual meaning.
I like that.
Yeah. Nice.
I think that's good. All right. With that, I'll introduce our good friend, JXCX. I'm trying to remember when I first stumbled upon Jay's work. I think this was probably 4 years ago at this point. And it was at a phase in my career where I had just taken the reins of running my then company's podcast. This was at Growth Machine, and we had the Growth Machine marketing podcast. And several people told me, you need to follow Jay Acunzo's work. He is the person to listen to for storytelling, for podcasting, for starting a new show, and actually doing it right. And from there, I was off to the races. I read a bunch of Jay's essays, jayacunzo.com. He has beautiful essays on creating content that is meaningful, and how to create shows around this meaningful content. And from there, that was when I learned all about premises, like just having an effective premise for a show. I learned about podcast positioning statements. I really just learned better frameworks for how to create content that is more meaningful, that resonates with people, that attracts the people you want to attract. And Jay is a notable showrunner. He's launched shows for other brands like HubSpot, Help Scout. He runs his own show right now. His newest podcast is called How Stories Happen. SparkToro happens to be the launch sponsor. It's a great show on just sort of breaking down existing stories. Like he talks with other business owners, marketers, show hosts on their sort of trademark stories, and they talk through what goes into an effective story, what's good about it, what's notable. So I'm really excited for Jay to talk to us today about, B2B storytelling, like storytelling from that business perspective. And so with that, please welcome our good friend, Jay Acunzo, XCX.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I've prepared a talk today. Please feel free to drop questions. If there's not time at the end, then I can either stay long if Rand and Amanda give us permission to stick around live, or you can find me afterwards. So that's my commitment to you all. You will get your questions answered anywhere you can reach me. Please do, if needed. All right. I want to start with what seems like a silly question today for our efforts in B2B, but I promise you, if we look harder at it, reveals most of what we need to know to stand out online today. So the silly question that I'm going to ask you sounds like this. What's the best Disney film of all time? I actually would love some answers in the chat. If you could place them there now, that would be great. What is your answer to the question? What's the best Disney film of all time? All right, great. Chana says Coco, WALL-E, Inside Out, Toy Story 3, Tangled. They're coming in fast and furious here. Lion King by far, Finding Nemo, Lion King again, Aladdin, Bambi, Rand. Oh my God, it's so fast I can't even keep up. Toy Story again, Coco again. Okay, great. Wow. All right. You always put together such a great group of people, you two, who communicate so well with each other and uplift each other. Oh my goodness. This is like no answer or response I've ever seen to this question. Finding Nemo, Cinderella. So hard to argue with any of these. I really appreciate your conversation in the chat, your participation around this question. It means a lot to me. Unfortunately, you're all wrong. There is one correct and objectively so right answer to the question, and it's a Goofy movie.
Oh my gosh, I love Goofy movies.
If you know, Powerline, the pop star in the film, like legit good music, and I am personally still waiting on the album. Let's get going.
Oh my gosh, I did not have to go that hard, but it did, and I love it.
Now, this is a silly question to be asking. What's the best Disney film of all time, right? And it's silly, not least of all, because you can't really answer it, right? There is no objective or academic correct answer, no matter how much we would debate in the chat or on this talk that there is an objective right answer. There's not. But we spend so much time in our work as marketers trying to project to others that we are the objective right pick, the academically sound correct answer for anything through our content or our overall brands with whatever products and services we sell. We are number one. We are the best. We are objectively the correct pick. We spend so much time trying to project that and be that, but that is not how people make choices about anything. We are not rational creatures. We're subjective first, then we rationalize what we did later. And I think something very revealing just happened when I asked you this question. You didn't answer it. I said, what's the best Disney film of all time? How did you hear it? How did you respond to it? What's my favorite? That, my friends, is how people make choices. And there's nothing objective about that. We compete in this world full of content overload with not just the people in our space who sell competitive products or services, but with literally everybody making content today. That's who we're competing with to get enrolled into the finite number of hours in our audience's days. So I'm a podcaster. How do I get on the finite list of podcasts that my listeners will enroll into their lives when I'm up against the biggest and the best names, not just in marketing or business, but everywhere? But the thing is, to compete against the biggest and the best, you don't need to be the biggest or the best. You need to be their favorite, their personal preferred pick for a specific purpose. There's nothing objectively correct about that, no matter how much we wish there was. And to prove my point, I want you to think about your favorite things. Think of your favorite teams, restaurants, food, clothing items, anything. They're like parts of our identity. So if I say that's my favorite city or that's my favorite podcast, it's like I'm telling you something about myself, even more than those things. And there's nothing academically number one or the best about them. Like my favorite shirt is not objectively the best made shirt that either exists or even that I own, but it is still my favorite. It feels irreplaceable to me. And that's how we want to feel to others, irreplaceable. My favorite sports team, the New York Knicks. And if you know anything about sports, you know that until very recently, and for decades of my life, they were among the objective worst picks. But they got my time, attention, money, and love. Does that sound like rational decision-making to you? No, but it is human decision-making. And guess what your audience is full of? When your audience makes choices, they play favorites. So the actual question we have to ask, are you one of them? Don't be the best. Be their favorite. Now, most of the content we create actively undermines this objective because our shared enemy today is the commodity content we create, written in comics, sans, and everything. It's created from that place of being on the hamster wheel, right? Maybe you've all heard that, the marketing hamster wheel. Maybe you've heard that phrase before. Maybe your left eye just started to twitch a little bit, like we want off that thing. So my questions today are, well, what if we could? What if we could get off it? What if more of our work worked? What if we could stop competing on volume and learn to compete on impact? Well, the impact of any idea, of any content, is directly proportional to two traits: its value and its originality. And we can visualize how we're doing in our work using this visual framework, the idea impact matrix. Let's start with value. The least valuable content we can possibly create is merely informational. The most valuable is insightful. So informational is like, what is AI? The backstory of my favorite storyteller, Anthony Bourdain, right? The 6 fastest growing brands in this industry. Insightful is, why are they growing so quickly? What made that storyteller so gripping and inspiring? Information is like handing someone a map of North America. Here, you have it now. Insights, that's like handing them a compass. You're not creating a direction follower. You're not just giving them facts. You're giving them power. You're empowering those people. You've created a navigator where they can waltz into any scenario, get their bearings, and figure it out. It is much more useful, for example, not knowing what works, but knowing why something works. That's insightful. So frame it like this. Informational content updates people, but insightful content empowers them to increase the value of your content. If you want to be more valuable as a brand or as a participant in their lives, make your work more insightful. Likewise, we can plot our originality on a spectrum from general to personal. Could anybody in your space have said it or done it that way? Or could it have only come from you or your team's unique and personal perspective? So yeah, I can give you 6 tips, as Amanda was saying, to develop a stronger podcast, to tell a better, more effective story in B2B. Or I can open that same piece by telling you a time about, I don't know, back to Bourdain, when I was feeling disillusioned by marketing and I binged his show. And being a storytellers, I think we underappreciate how much intentionality goes into work that inspires us. But I was like, wow, these people have a plan. They're doing this to me intentionally, proactively. It's a skill. And then I can give you my 6 tips for being a better storyteller, creating a better podcast. It's the same underlying content, but one could only come from me. So think of it like this. AI is trained on internet content, but you are trained on the content of your life, and nobody else has access to that. What a gift! But we're not really using it. Even though our personal perspectives are the biggest advantages we have, we rarely use it, especially in B2B. But why are you here? Trusting Amanda, trusting Rand, maybe trusting me, because we gratuitously use our personal perspectives. And most marketers don't, most content creators don't. Most of us get caught in the commodity cage where nothing we do works all that well. So we're forced to create a lot of it. It is low value and low on originality. And we look like everybody else. We're like crammed into this cage with 8,000 of our peers furiously running on the marketing hamster wheel. And we're like, I'm going to repurpose my content so hard right now. I'm going to rank number 1 on search. I'm going to go viral. Sir, this is a hamster wheel. You're going to go nowhere. And then instead of escape that trap and try to solve our problems, we try to work harder in the place causing the problems. So for example, I'm going to post on LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is very important to my business. Somehow it's become the good place. Never thought I'd say that, right? LinkedIn was always like, how did this place happen? That was LinkedIn. It still kind of is, but the rest are like, whoa, how did those places happen? This is weird. Really. So, okay, we care about LinkedIn more than ever before. We're going to post at the best possible time. Well, this report says 9 a.m. Great. I'm going to post at 9 a.m. Except guess what happens now that that's out there? That is no longer the best time to post. But we don't have time to do anything smarter than that because we also care about every other social network. Like we're thinking about Facebook, but then Facebook rebranded as Meta and we all panicked temporarily. Is that a new social network? No, it's a holding company containing all their apps like Instagram. So we're on Instagram. Do you all remember when Snapchat was challenging Instagram and it was kind of the same place in both apps, right? So we did the same thing in both places. Yeah, I guess that's now kind of TikTok. Right. It's like same thing here, same thing there, same thing everywhere. I also have a podcast, but the podcast can't just be audio anymore. Oh no, it has to be video. So I'm also going to syndicate the video of that podcast over to YouTube, and I'm going to create standalone videos both on YouTube and on my website and on social media. And I'm going to send everything I create through email because email is such a defensible way to build our businesses and our brands. But why are there always experts out there saying email marketing is dead? That makes no sense to me, but I have time to spend with those words because along come all these trends. Like everything has to go live now. All of a sudden, your Facebook live and YouTube live and Instagram live and LinkedIn live. And then along comes voice marketing. Remember that era? Voice marketing, no more logos, no more brands. It's all about Amazon Alexa, right? And then there's like Web3 and NFTs and AI and ChatGPT and OMG Alexa, please punch me in the face. This is our job? Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. I called this talk playing favorites. I could have called it something else. Free the hamsters. That's how we feel way too much as marketers. So let's free some hamsters. Opposite the commodity cage, where nothing we're doing works all that well, is the place we want to be, the place where more of our work actually works. I call that place the field of favorites. And there's not 8,000 competitors there. There's like 2 other people. It's sunny. There's butterflies and rainbows. A unicorn trots by, pulling a wagon full of refreshments served in golden cups. Is this marketer heaven? No, this is just what we thought the job was going to be the whole time when we're running free in the field of favorites. And the best part is what happens when people discover your work, when you create from that place. They wander in off the internet all haggard and disheveled, and they're like, it's terrible out there. All this content giving me advice is all the same. And then all these business podcasters started creating video clips from their podcast, and they had like gorgeous animated captions, but the video content itself said nothing useful at all. It's terrible out there. Thank you for doing what you do. I needed this. Like, imagine if that's how people responded to your work. A little less manic would be nice, but let's be real. That's kind of how I feel looking for anything of value on the internet today. We want that gratitude. We want that emotional bias in our favor. When you're trapped in the commodity cage, you're forced to compete on volume. But when you're in the field of favorites, when more of your work is both valuable and original because it's more insightful and more personal, you can compete on impact. Create as much or as little content as you want because more of it actually works. There's a difference between volume and power, followers and influence, and we're losing the script. So how do we do this? How do we make this change? I think it starts in a very simple place for all of us. I think we need to start telling more small stories with big meaning. Every day, everywhere we go. We're surrounded by inspiration for that stuff. Observations, conversations, memories, moments, anything we experience can be used to become more effective storytellers. We don't need to launch a billion-dollar company or be featured in the news media. It's all around us every day. I think of it like this. AI and people both rely on LLMs as their foundations. AI has large language models, but people have little life moments. I know, I'm proud of me too. I like that line. That was a good one. I know it when I see it. We need to tell.
Don't call out how awesome you are in the webinar. That's just, no, that's
Listen, there's no energy to virtual. So I am a normal 10 out of 10 energy. So I'm a 15 out of 10 virtual.
Look, the comments,
what you bargained for, my friend.
The comment section is 11 out of 10. So
that's good.
Oh, it is. I can't keep up with the comments. I've been trying to screenshot them to share with you later. I can't. I just can't.
No,
let's keep it going. Oh, I love it.
LLMs.
All right. So like what does this look like? Right. Let me show you what this looks like when a communicator does this to build their business. Let me show you the story of Michelle Warner. Michelle is a business consultant and strategist who specializes in helping small business owners and entrepreneurs design better business models and marketing strategies. She's a commodity. There's a lot of people who do what she does. You can't really compete on price. You can't stand out all that easy. And her content reflected that commodity stance at first. Like this very old blog post I found, how to be intentional with your business connections. I talk a lot about how intentionally building your relationships and connections and keeping it a consistent priority, and anyone could say it this way. She was trapped in the commodity cage. And early on, she had the same kind of results. Not that effective, not that many results. And I think when our content isn't yielding results, we all tend to have the same thought as marketers. When we want more results, we think, I got to reach more people. Now, this never really made sense to me because we can all reach some people now, 5 or 5,000. And when the people who already know us and trust us and like us give us a signal that our work isn't effective, why do we go, well, that's interesting. I better put this in front of way more people. That makes no sense. We think we have a reach problem all the time when typically we have a resonance problem. Reach is how many see it, but resonance, that's how much they care. If they don't care, they don't act. If they don't act, we don't see results. So it's actually from resonance that we see results, not reach. When we want more results, don't think reach more people. Think resonate deeper with them. To do so, combine those two key factors. Make your work more insightful, make your work more personal. And there are two things we need in our marketing to do so. First, more insightful stories. Everywhere we go in content and conversation, the little pockets of our marketing and the big moments in campaigns. And then a more personal message. Yes, our brand message, but also in a way that hits home emotionally to other people, where they can declare, that's my favorite. Let's start with more insightful stories. Michelle is telling beautifully insightful stories, and they have a lot of deep resonance with her audience. And it's not because she's doing commodity stuff like this anymore. Like this was one of my favorite editions of her newsletter recently. Pop quiz. What's the first thing you should do when you're sitting on your couch late on a Saturday night and out of nowhere, a bat flies overhead? I don't know, but I'd like to. Answer, not what I did. So what did I do? I Googled, obviously. And she talks about how all the advice and strategies were mixed. It was overwhelming. There was too much. Sound like anything else we deal with. So she panicked, left out the window open, and slept at her friend's house overnight. In the morning, she said the bat exited, thank God. And she said she realized I'd fallen into my own trap, the trap she helps her clients avoid. I chased strategy, demanded immediate results instead of prioritizing sequence. I worried more about what to do instead of focusing on what order to do things, which is always the wrong choice, she asserts. You want to think sequence over strategy, not strategy over sequence first, always. That is rather insightful. It's a wonderful story arriving at an insight. And I asked her, okay, how did this perform though? Like for your business? And without hesitating, she goes, oh, that was my best performing email in months. It was the same constraints as the ineffectual content before, but had a greater impact. She always writes a weekly newsletter. It's always around 500 words focused on practical teaching. And it's always meant to connect with prospects and get them on a phone call with her. But it had a much greater impact. Compared to her average email in 2023, she saw a lift of 600% in replies in that one instance, and a lift of 150% in qualified leads compared to the average email sent. Leads who were passionate about what she was saying. I mean, in her responses, this woman in the front said thank you 5 times in 6 sentences. Thank you. How often are you getting thanked for your marketing? How often are you getting thanked for your content? Is it 5 times in 6 sentences? She even says the word resonant to describe Michelle. Now, Michelle didn't do anything radical. Again, same constraints, greater impact, but she did transform the order in which she said things. There's a very simple storytelling structure we can use, and the third part of this is routinely missing, especially in B2B. The first is simple. This happened. It's a personal memory or moment, your little life moment. The second, which made me realize, some kind of idea sparked by that moment. And the third is this tipping point between talking about anything and talking about your thing. That's the thing about this topic you want to learn from me, this insight you now need from me. Let me give you a short example so you can see this in action, and then we'll overlay it onto Michelle's words. Let's say that my brand existed to disseminate one message. You should try new things. I'm trying to help you take risks or innovate. You should try new things. Here's a very commodified way to say that. In general, studies show that human beings are not actually afraid of the task in front of them, but rather the unknown. So now I'm kind of like the Nike slogan, right? My message, I'm just saying to you, just do it. It's ineffectual, and worse, everybody can say it that way. But what if I said it to you slightly differently? What if I said, so for years, I was afraid to make espresso in my kitchen. This is a totally true story. I have a beautiful machine just down the hall here. Embarrassing for me. I never made it for years. And I'm Italian. Can you not tell by the everything of me? I mean, gel, hands, volume, sweaty. Yeah, some stereotypes in my case are true. But I would outsource it to my wife, who's not Italian. Babe, are you making one for you? Can you make one for me, please? I would sit on my hands when she wasn't home and not make my coffee. I would follow espresso influencers. I almost forked over $300 for a homemade espresso course. And then I decided to make it one time. And now I made it. Now I make it every day. This happened, right? And that one time I made it really helped me realize, oh, wow, I wasted a lot of time agonizing over doing that, because turns out it wasn't actually that hard. And when you mess up, you can clean it up pretty easily, or your research becomes more effective because you have a very specific question you're seeking to answer. That's what it made me realize. Well, that's the thing about trying new things. If, as studies suggest, what we fear is the unknown, not the task itself, rather than outsource, rather than agonize, rather than sit on your hands, just move faster to make the unknown known. Try it first. Just do it. I hope we can all agree that that is a more effective, more deeply resonant way of saying the exact same thing. It doesn't require budget. It doesn't require permission. It doesn't require really any skill at all. It just requires you thinking through this order of operations. This happened, which made me realize, and that's the thing about the topic I teach, the insight I'm giving you today. You can do this long form and short form. You can do this in content and conversation. It is not bound by any medium at all, merely your imagination. That's what Michelle did. She applied that imagination and told a better story. This happened. A bat flew into her house out of nowhere. She panicked. She researched. It was terrible. She left. Then the next morning, she realized she'd fallen into that same trap she helps her audience avoid. Well, that's the thing about designing a sturdy business, the theme of her whole newsletter. You should think sequence over strategy, not strategy over sequence. Sequence first, always. Look, all this content we create on the hamster wheel is nothing without connection. Most people you compete with are out there calling people to action. Call to action. What a terrible phrase. We should be able to whisper it and they'll act, right? Most people are demanding that others care about their message. When you start using that's the thing about, it prompts you to show them why they should. Why should they care? The second thing we need to resonate more deeply with our audience is a more personal brand message. Because when our words matter more to others, we need to beg for their attention less. Why should I care about you? Why should I care? What's your brand message? How do you respond? To understand this, I want to tell you the story of Amy Carrero, or not really Amy. She's an actress who voices a character on a Disney Plus show, Elena of Avalor. Amanda, has Elena invaded your house yet? Because Elena has sort of taken over mine. Do you know,
A little bit.
Elena?
The
A little
theme
bit?
song mostly. My kid loves theme songs to all the shows, and so he likes this one a lot.
Yeah, so I want to apologize both to you and to anybody with kids who's watching this, because just saying the character's name, you have the theme song in your head, right? Elena. It's catchy until you want to kill yourself after that. So Elena of Avalor is just one of many shows that have become earworms for me, but it's a new show. It's not something I grew up with. And my daughter, who's 5, loves the character. So I thought, I'll do some research. Who is this character? And I went to the Disney site. And the first thing you learn is that Elena's story is universal. And I thought, wonderful, a role model, somebody relatable to my daughter. So what, pray tell, makes this character so universal? Elena is a young princess, okay, who was trapped for 41 years by an evil sorceress inside a magical amulet, while her grandparents and sister were protected within a magical painting. You know, family stuff. I mean, who hasn't had, if I had a nickel for every time that happened in my family. Now that she's free, Elena must learn to rule as crown princess. That's relatable. That's universal. This is her house. I mean, I love my dog. You might have heard him earlier, but this is her pet. How in the world is she universal? Well, storytellers in the arts, in media, in journalism, basically everywhere but the business world, understand something that allows them to connect with their audiences deeper than we do, because we work so tirelessly to forget this very simple lesson right here in marketing. It is not the topic or the action that makes something relatable. It is the lesson. That's what Disney knows. The lesson Elena is learning is universal. How do you learn to be a good leader while learning how to be a good sister, good granddaughter, and a good friend? I want to be a good leader. I also want to be a good friend, husband, father, neighbor. Move over, sweetie. I'm watching Elena with you. A story is not relatable because of its emotional stakes. I mean, because of its topics or action. It is the emotional stakes itself. It is how somebody felt that makes it relatable. We get trapped doing the worst type of storytelling we can possibly do. It puts a ceiling on our power and our influence. I speak to this job title in B2B. I can only talk about that job title in my stories. That's not true. You can talk about pretty much anything you want if you go further inward. It's a paradox. The best storytellers connect deeper externally by turning deeper internally. They arrive at the emotional stakes and how something made them feel. I don't know about you all. I really loved Ted Lasso. I'm pretty sure the people who made that weren't like, hold on, a show about professional athletes, but our audience, they're not professional athletes. We couldn't possibly do this, right? I didn't care about soccer or football. I still kind of don't, but I love stories of clinging tight to your values as life starts lifing, right? So I love that show. I don't read him, but Stephen King has passionate fans. Carrie is not really about Carrie. It's about the feelings of isolation that, oh my goodness, we can all relate to. And how about this? Can you go thwipping through New York City with your spider powers? No? Then how in the world is Spider-Man so influential, so epic? Because with great power comes great responsibility. Great stories don't just optically reveal, oh, my job title is in that story. They make you feel something. And in doing so, they align with what you're going through. And that gives the communicator permission to keep talking. Resonance, as the science suggests, starts with alignment. This is from the science of like sounds and wavelengths. When one frequency aligns with a second, they are considered resonant, and the second feels amplified. It's that feeling of, yes, this that we've all experienced. That's what we want to convey with our brand message. And we can do so with 4 beats to the story: align, agitate, assert, invite. Let's bring back Michelle Warner and use this as a template. Align. What are your audience's goals and beliefs? You are this and you want that. So Michelle, you sell premium services and you're great at your thing, but nobody taught you to build a business, let alone do it your way. So you read some expert advice, maybe took some courses, and that helped for a time. But things never felt smooth and sustainable. Despite some initial traction, the work feels hard and you're questioning things and maybe feeling burnt out. I'm aligned with you. I have permission to keep going. If I'm pitching you a new idea and you're my boss or a prospect or client, I need to align around your goals first before I can continue. Too many of us leap to our thing too soon. First, align with them. Second, agitate the problems they're going through. This gives you the tension that storytellers know how to use to bring you to their resolution. So Michelle might say, worst, you're blaming yourself for how you feel, but you were throwing spaghetti at the wall, introducing too many variables to know which to keep and repeat. And when things aren't repeatable, the business isn't sustainable. But aside from blowing it all up, what can you do now to build a growing, healthy business? It is tempting to seek the perfect strategy or playbook, but that's not what you need. Okay, we have some tension now. What mountain peak is she going to lead us to as a leader? Some people want to go there. She wants to go to that one instead. And that's where she's going to level her assertion, her premise for her whole brand. She says this: you need to prioritize sequence over strategy. Stop throwing spaghetti against the wall. Stop seeking perfect blueprints and playbooks. Be the person who says, I don't have all the answers, but I'm going to move forward anyway. Ask, what's the next right action to take, so that over time you develop the right strategy for you? Because in her estimation, knowing the right move matters more than knowing all the moves. She says you don't need a strategy, you need a sequence. And she can defend that. And others would disagree. And that's what makes it so powerful. That's what makes it so her. And she uses it to inform her entire platform. It's the name of her podcast. It's in her newsletter welcome email. More than 50% of her writing last year, I did the painstaking work of checking this, said sequence over strategy, and I'd argue the other half implied it. And everywhere she shows up, like on podcasts as a guest, she is there not to teach you how to design a business model or marketing strategy. Yes, that stuff too, but more to the point, she's there to evangelize her premise, sequence over strategy. So what are you asserting? What is your premise? Now they have the urge to act, and you can almost tip them towards wherever you want them to go. What do I do next? You can inspire action instead of demand it. I'm Michelle Warner, and I design sturdy business models built to last and teach you how to build the relationships to power them. Subscribe to my work as together we rethink how to build a business based on a simple question: what's the best thing to do next? Stop gathering up the answers you think you need to act. Act to find your answers. Think sequence over strategy. Why should I care about you? Because I help experts become storytellers. That's not bad for me, but I need to do a better job of aligning and agitating before I assert what I really want to assert, which is you should care more about resonance than reach. So the missing piece we need is that assertion, that premise to inspire action, not demand it. It makes the results come easier. So your premise is the defensible assertion that you're making based on your perspective, which informs your choices and your reputation. So for instance, if I assert that you don't experience stories, you experience life, your LLM, then craft that into stories by doing the work, then which becomes my podcast. On how stories happen, experts and creatives dissect one signature story piece by piece. Story Stars. It's a fictional show. Story Stars, legendary storytellers of our time in business and elsewhere, give their backstories in bio. Well, I should do the first one because of what I assert. Likewise, if I assert you should care more about resonance than reach to grow your business, what's my next talk? The one I'm giving now? I would never give the one on the right, Follower Frenzy, how to predictably go viral to win the attention of economy. Many of you might want that. That's not how I see it. I'm making an assertion, so everything follows from the assertion I make. In marketing, we're making assertions all the time, but often they're not effective. And that's what we want to be, is effective, not just present, right? So I see this a lot. On our podcast, we get practical. Yeah, that might be true, but no competitor is going to admit, oh, we forgot that part. Or how about this? It's HR software made simple. Great. Or accounting software that doesn't suck. Okay. First of all, what a low bar to set for your brand. Second of all, I'm fairly certain that accounting software's competitors aren't going, whew, thank God you said it, because, we really do suck. So these are assertions, but they're not defensible. You cannot own these ideas any more than you can own the idea of B2B marketing, right? SparkToro isn't here to own the idea of audience research. They're here to own their perspective, their assertion about what audience research should be. Hot Ones for Marketers. I actually saw this. So some of you might know on YouTube, there's a famous series, Hot Ones. It's an interview series with celebrities where they ask the celebrities to eat spicier and spicier wings as the interview progresses. It's a great show. Their channel is about the overlap of food and pop culture. Makes total sense. Hot Ones for Marketers. I saw a SaaS company do this many years ago. A video series with all the same people you'd expect, asked all the same questions you've heard them answer before, but they're eating spicy wings. And part of me goes, That's clever. That's different. But I actually think it's confetti on crap. You've heard of lipstick on a pig? That's disrespectful to pigs. Pigs have value without the lipstick, okay? Confetti on crap. The only value is really the confetti here, right? I don't need that crap. I get it a million other places. So you put a little gimmick over the top of a commodity show. That's not serving anybody. Unless that brand said, we exist as a company with our product and with our content to help marketers grapple with increasing pressures in their job. That's our whole thing. That's why we exist. So on our video show, we're going to increase the pressure on our guests. Now the wings make sense because the premise is not just for entertainment. It's not just a gimmick. It's not a social media hook. It's a way to convey your perspective so they know something about you and care. Laura Eastburn gets this really well. Laura advises brands on how to run social media ads. Her specialty, Facebook and Instagram. Okay, she asserts advertising comes with social, linguistic, and human responsibilities because marketing shapes culture. So what she says that some would disagree with, understanding words is understanding advertising. So if you want to keep up with advertising, what's the best way to do that? Well, she's not going to talk about the latest changes to the tech. She's going to run her newsletter one word. Re-examine the language of business and marketing one word at a time. Authentic. You keep saying that. What does it mean? Let's rethink it. She believes that's more important to you than you knowing what update came down the pipe from Facebook or Instagram. Dan Runcie is a media entrepreneur. He asserts that hip-hop artists and producers are some of the world's best business minds, on par with tech and media moguls. You might disagree. No way is a rapper as intelligent in business as this billionaire. But that's what he asserts. So what's he going to do? Well, he's going to start Trapital. Trap beat, capital, Trapital. It's a media company covering these individuals, not because of their art, but because of their business acumen and decision-making and what we can learn. And when he tells his brand story, either on the website or as a guest on a podcast, he uses the premise to inform it, because from the premise, everything flows. He'll say, I started Trapital to change the narrative. Artists and entertainers have become some of our most successful business leaders. They deserve a publication that breaks down their moves in the same way other industries do. From the premise, everything follows. Or how about the training organization, Heroic Public Speaking? It teaches you to be a better public speaker. Your breakthrough moment is here. Okay, that doesn't sound wholly ownable. They say elsewhere, it's about transforming lives and changing the world. Others might say that too. Give life-changing speeches and write best-selling books to build your sustainable creator career. Now, again, you're like, is that it? It is in the space of public speaking. Take it from me. I've done the speaking thing for many, many years. Rand and Amanda, I'm sure you've encountered a lot of people. It's a lot of charlatans. There's a lot of over-promising. There's a lot of hype with no substance behind it. And Heroic knows that. Here's some of the phrases I found on their competitors' websites. Ready to earn an exorbitant amount of money, probably in 6 seconds by taking this training, right? Build confidence and charisma. That's not really what Heroic's about. Get there faster. Okay, here's a reputable competitor promising the speed element. Or how about this? This is my favorite. Get booked and paid to speak. Register a trademark, because if we put legalese behind it, you will think we are original and own our ideas, even though we say the same thing that everybody else says because we're not very good marketers. Really? Really? Your premise is like this beacon you send out in this sea of sameness, and your true believers come running to you like, yes, finally, this. But best of all is they don't just come to you, they reflect out to others the same language and worldview that you've created for them. I love doing what I do. I love talking about resonance. I love saying things like, don't be the best, be their favorite. And I'm grateful that having done it for many years now, others are doing some of that work for me. I'm able to show up and do my thing and know that there are others out there who believe what I believe and use language I've helped them arrive at or even modify to their world of not just marketing, but product or HR or wherever they show up to believe and disseminate the same message. Look, I believe firmly that you can't own your audience, even though that's an okay idea. Get off social, have an email list. You can't own your audience, but you can own an idea in their minds. And you're smart enough, you're expert enough, but maybe your IP isn't strong enough to differentiate and resonate. But a focused premise beats general expertise every day of the week. Everyone wants to be known. So you're sharing general how-tos, tips and tricks, etc. But you have to be known for something. You're not going to be known for the topic you cover. Get in line. You're a commodity. You might be known for your perspective and how you articulate it. If you want to increase your value, be more insightful. If you want to increase your originality, be more personal. Develop your premise, a defensible assertion pulled from your perspective, informing your choices and your reputation. I have one final and quick story for you all. Before I do, literally today, my co-founder and I just launched a course on all of these things. It's called Non-Grimy Growth because, oh my Lord, there's too much huckstery behavior going on out there. How smart experts become trusted thought leaders. We've spent our careers basically being front-facing business talent and speakers. There's a lot of advantages those individuals have that business owners and marketers should also possess. And we're trying to equip the good people with the good skills to combat all the grime out there. We'll cover premise development, branding and modeling your ideas into frameworks, and we'll send it both over email and have live access if you so choose. So you can go to that URL, and I created a special code for SparkToro fans and followers for $100 off. Okay, last story. The other day, I was watching Elena with my daughter, as one does here in my household, and we decided to get out of the house and go to the New England Aquarium in Boston, where we live. And we've been there a dozen times. And my favorite spot is the top of the tank because there's something so like alluring about seeing open water in a building allegedly full of this stuff. You're like closer to the wildlife. And I've been going there for years. And there's always this person, the staffer on the right side on a platform with a mic answering questions. You know, the tank has this many gallons. That's this kind of turtle. That diver there is doing this. They do that twice a day for that reason, right? And I always thought, like, who is this guy? Like, literally, there's no reason it needs to be him standing there giving out this information. And in fact, the aquarium seems to know that because the biggest difference between when I was younger and today is all around the tank, there are these little iPads where if he's occupied, you can get your questions answered because he's not doing anything that uniquely requires him. And when we do things that don't uniquely require us, sooner or later, we might not be required. In other words, he's not acting like whoever he is. He never really let me know that. He's acting like a kiosk. And I didn't want him to act like a kiosk. Here's an easy example of how he could have done that. The oldest turtle in the tank is Myrtle. Myrtle the turtle. She is 75 years old. She is old and graying. That is really her. And she is cranky AF. Every time they add a new fish to the aquarium, it wanders over to the top of the tank where she slumbers and whack, learns a hard lesson. Like, get off my algae, right? Why in the world couldn't he help me see Myrtle for what she is? Myrtle is not a green turtle who is this amount in pounds and this many years old. No, Myrtle is this cranky old grandma in the tank. Was she sent here because her relatives in the ocean were worried about her behavior and she retired here? Does she chain smoke Marlboro Greens? I don't know. He could have helped me feel. Like, facts are one thing, emotions drive action. Why didn't this gentleman pull from his own perspective to help me see Myrtle as she really is? Because that's more original. It doesn't mean he spent more resources on it. It means it's more him. It's right there in the name. The origin of the idea. Is it you or someone else? Look, the problem isn't that bots will replace humans. The problem is too many humans are acting like bots. We all want off that hamster wheel. We want to do things that have an impact, not that just get in front of people, but that ensure people love what we do and take an action as a result. And that's the thing about marketing. It's not about getting in front of people. It's about ensuring they care. So think resonance over reach. Don't market more, matter more. Don't be the best, be their favorite. And I got to give a huge shout out to Amanda and Rand for being two of my favorite people in this entire industry and bringing me in today. That's all I got.
We love you too, buddy. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Incredible.
Yeah, really, really exceptional. Can I ask about this? Okay. This sort of format that you identified in the middle of your talk that I think resonated with a whole bunch of people in the audience and absolutely with me. And that's the kind of idea of using the format of identifying a sort of life's little moment and then having a relatable insight that you take away from it.
Yeah.
And I think my one conflict that I saw there is it seems like there is also a lot of content that does that thing. It follows exactly that formula, but is terrible. The most, the most notable example would be like the LinkedIn, whatever, so-and-so did this. Here's what I
walked
learned
into the office. Yeah. Sat down with my boss.
Yeah. Right. And like, I'm trying to figure out because
the
the examples you gave are stunningly excellent. and I think really, really work, and I want to replicate them.
Yeah.
And then my quick lazy brain goes to, wait a minute, that'll just produce another one of those posts.
Yeah. So you know what's interesting is you perfectly set up my podcast, How Stories Happen, because I want to put on display the fact that when you see one that works versus one that doesn't, the difference is craft. It's not that, the technique itself or podcasting or Instagram or live events doesn't work. The inherent thing is broken for my business. No, it's that if you see people that you love who resonate deeply with you, they're not more gifted. They are more practiced. And that might not look like one-to-one practice, by the way. I didn't practice virtual speaking. I practiced podcasting and keynote speaking, and now I'm a better virtual speaker, right? And that's pretty close, but you get the idea. It's like, it doesn't mean you do the same thing over and over and over again, although it might. So I think about, well, why do those things not work? They open a loop that's promising some grandiose insight or end to the action, and they raise anticipation far more than they match it when they close and deliver on the intrigue, right? So that's one reason those things don't work. Another reason is they haven't figured out how to smooth the edges between like this thing that may or may not be relevant to what I teach and this insight, right? One side or both hasn't been developed enough. Like, what details of the story do I need to bring out? You know, me going through the extra steps in the espresso story to talk about the hilarity of like outsourcing it to my wife and following influencers and all those things. Of course, you're painting your own details of something non-coffee related that you've done something similar, asking a loved one or a peer, following an expert, maybe taking a course. Like I had a woman rush up to me once after giving a speech, and she gave me the best gift a storyteller can give, where she's like, you started talking about espresso, and I have this weird thing where I hate coffee. But then I started thinking about like my car and what I'm going through right now with me and my husband in my car, right? Like, oh, okay, great. That story is something I have put in speeches, written about in my newsletter, posted on social media. Like, as an author and a speaker, you learn the power of having signature stories to illuminate things more quickly and with greater emotional impact than somebody who's just going to give you the flat language or the business equivalent of a story, which is an example. Oh, it's like this business SparkToro. They do this. That gets that result. No, there's no journey there. Like, there's no impact.
I wonder if it's almost like you're using the framework, and so are these sort of relatively unsuccessful or cringeworthy folks. But the craft of it, part of that is avoiding a formulaic approach that has been memeified to death and sort of has destroyed its own brand. Right. And so, like
I gave you training wheels. What I gave you were storytellers' training wheels, or the scaffolding to the building. What are you trying to build? How do you like to ride? What are you riding? Most people who give out advice are like, here's rocket fuel, just add this, you'll fly. And we're all too savvy about that. And we're all too disillusioned by that. And that preys on people's baser instincts or fears. And my belief is like, go take the things, like everything I do has a think for yourself clause. Maybe it should be present, right? So that's the thing about, use that's the thing about as a pivot point, but more so use it as a reminder. Maybe you don't say the phrase to go, oh, I got to move them to the insight. I got to make sure I extract something valuable from this. I'm not just here to distract. Or wait a sec, this happened. That was clear. That's the thing about my insight. That was clear. I didn't have this smoothed edge of like, what did it make me realize that kind of rhymed with our work? And that's why it felt clunky, or whatever it is in your world, right? The language from Michelle, the premise language, the 4-beat part, the second template I gave you, she's not saying that everywhere she goes, right? She wrote it out working with me to do so. And then that's the starter dough. She dips into that or evokes that everywhere she goes.
Yeah. I love it. Love it. Jay, we did have a few questions that came up on here. And I realize you generously offered to stay with us an extra 10, 15 minutes. Is that
happy
offer
to.
still
Yeah,
there?
if one or both of you can stick around and do the same, I'm happy to.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Cool.
My next meeting isn't for another 30 minutes, so I am good to go. Amanda, you want me to read these off, or do you want to tackle the ones that were most upvoted?
I'll start. All right. This one has 5 upvotes. Okay. Everyone can still see us, right? We are still on. All right. How would small life stories fit with brand voice? Many of the stories you shared were funny and personal. How should brands that are overly corporate or professional incorporate this in their content? And this question comes from Natasha. So thanks, Natasha.
Yeah, so my very corporate, stuffy, legal-ridden brand has a specific message. It's such an interesting question. Amanda, who I'm now enrolling as the role of a podcast host, interviewing me, the marketer from a stuffy corporate brand. Let's role play. That's such an interesting question. Our message, what we want to do with our technologies, proprietary technology, is to help marketers innovate. That's really why we exist. And I think a lot of innovation or lack thereof comes from a place of like risk tolerance. And, I was thinking about, I have this beautiful espresso machine in my kitchen. And for years, I was actually kind of afraid to make it. And actually, if you look at today, I make it every day. And really the only difference was I made it one time. And, that kind of made me realize that most of the fear we have is actually because we face the unknown. It's not because of the thing, like I got to do this innovative or new task. It's because that new task is inherently unknown. So what can you do to make it small, to make it attainable, to make it testable, right? So, okay, at once I stripped out the animation, I stripped out the goofiness, right? Because I'm like now carrying a flag that says boring ass brand, right? Like, fine. This is not endemic to B2B. This is your personality as a person. Like you might not be me. So the thing that kills individual voices is artifice. You're like trying to be goofy because you saw Jay be goofy, but you're not goofy. You're stoic. You're the researcher. You're the philosopher. Be that, right? So be that in the brand sense. We're stoic. We're, somber. We're whatever. That's fine. Like be that thoughtful, introspective voice. The other thing I'll say is, I think the days of hiding behind corporate logos is long gone. I think brands that create content are in real trouble because nobody wants to engage with brands. If you notice the most successful brands, they have voices that are public. So if we all agree that for many years now, marketing has evolved into looking more like media companies, right? Content marketing, all that. What is the missing piece that marketers don't yet do or embrace, or corporate brands, I should say? It's not creating content. It's not multimedia. It's not building an audience for audience sake. Brands are doing that. The one last thing that has to happen is brands have to look at media companies and go, oh, media companies foster talent. They don't just create content, they create creators. And so in-house, we have to learn how to do that. Not like equipping a ghostwriter or attaching a ghostwriter to an executive. I mean, that's a piece of it. But like, how do we ensure that people understand how to become individual voices that represent a brand, right? The way Amanda and Rand do for SparkToro, and the way probably lots of more people that I can't think of right now. Oh, Chris Levine at Wistia, right? There's a bunch of examples that predate this moment, but I think this moment has made it more urgent that we stop just creating behind a corporate logo, and the byline, the who behind the content starts to matter more and more.
Yeah, clever.
Scott has a follow-up question to this. Isn't this the best application for customer stories?
Maybe. Michelle, Michelle is a customer story.
Right.
Michelle Warner is a client. The thing that's different between a customer story and what I call like a lead or a signature story is your customer story. You are the hero of that story. And there's not real stakes, because what makes a case study interesting is I'm ready to buy. I just kind of want to see the process somebody else went through after they did, right? It's not a story. You're like, this is a foregone conclusion. I know where this goes. And when you know exactly where it goes and really the beats there, because you've seen case studies before, you're not there to be, you're not changing your mind on anything really. And you're not moved to take any kind of action you weren't really close to taking. The difference is I'm going to place you in an area of doubt or an area of feeling kind of fraught. If it's an actual signature story, and also I'm not going to say, I worked with this woman, Michelle. I think that's, I as a speaker, I grew up like I was 12 giving speeches. I came up as a professional speaker, being mentored by very many good people who said to me, Jay, you earn the right to talk about yourself. So if I had said, I want to tell you the story, let me show you what this looks like using my favorite client ever. I don't love that approach. I want you to realize something about the idea Michelle represents first, and then feel compelled to come talk to me afterwards. So I think there's some subtlety, but long way of saying there's absolutely a place to raid your best, most successful customer stories, but your product usage should not be a part of that story. Because if you notice, the Michelle didn't go through my process with me as a part of that story. she does on my website, my homepage, as a case study, but not in my speech when I take the same story, translate it for a new context. So you're removing you when you have a real teaching story versus a case study.
That makes sense. And like, I mean, to your point, it's not that we shouldn't do customer stories or case studies. It's just those serve a very different purpose.
Yeah, you need a portfolio. Like you learn as an
Yeah.
author or speaker, like I need my personal story. Like when someone says, how'd you get here? By the way, when Rand came on How Stories Happen, that's the story we deconstructed together, was how Rand tells his personal story. So you need your personal story. You need a signature story that looks like the illustration of the idea, of the philosophy, of the premise, not the illustration of using your product or service. So that's like a story of someone else. Then you need like tinier anecdotes, both about you and also about like a methodology you might teach. Okay, part 1 looks like this action. Here's an example of how Amanda did that action. And it's not end to end Amanda. It's just how Amanda did that, right? So like, it's easy to think in keynotes when you do this, right? Because you talk in plain language, then you go, let me show you. Here's the lead illustrative story. And then you're like, oh, wow, yeah, I want that, Jay. How do I do it? Well, here's the method, and here's some examples along the method's path, right? So you have this bag of stories that you end up with as an author. And I think because this world of marketing is moving more and more into all of us showing up as people, not hiding behind our logos, I think we also need our bag of stories too.
Yeah. I also want to say that you have to earn, sorry, Rand. You have to earn the right to talk about yourself. I think that's just a really good way to remember how to do content marketing, right? Like, I think great content marketing is when you keep in mind that you have to earn the right to talk about yourself.
Wait, right. Amanda, say more.
I guess what I mean is like in content marketing, so like blog posts and maybe even social media posts, it's not that you can talk about yourself, right? But by earning the right to do it, it's not leading with, hey guys, like here's how it's not, hey guys, new feature just launched at SparkToro. It's more, here's this really cool outcome that we got. Or like, now we can finally do this thing. Or here's a really good insight that you'll need for your marketing. And then, so kind of leading with, here's what's in it for you, basically. And then kind of backing that up into, well, here's how we, SparkToro, can help you do it.
And you can even make it smaller, like make it really small. Like what is the self-promotion or brand promotion forward approach to giving a keynote similar to what I just gave virtually? You would walk up on a stage and start talking about how you realized something powerful and you did something amazing, either with a client or yourself, like immediately, right? What I was taught is like, no, first you align with them. I mean, similar to the beats of the second template I gave everyone. First, you need to align with them. They're thinking, how is this going to help me? Well, here's the goal we share. Aren't I already coming at it and trying to get that goal? Yeah, here's the status quo you're going through. Okay, so why not keep going through it that way? Because here's the problems with the status quo. Oh no, what do I do instead? Here's my premise. Here's what I assert. Resonance over reach. And to do so, tell small stories with big meaning. Okay, maybe, but what does that look like? Here's Michelle. Here's how she did it. Okay, Jay, I'm totally bought in on all this. How do I do it? Right? So that's my speech. In between, I could have inserted, let me show you how Michelle did it. Let me tell you about a time that I first realized what Michelle did, right? Then I can insert something about me 6 beats into the story. In my estimation, that's a healthy place to do it because I've earned the right, not by giving you my bio up front, but by delivering something of substance first. I've earned the right to then talk about myself later. Like I am not at the mountain peak you can do. I am the vessel for an idea. And now that I've given you that idea and you can see why it matters and why you care, you might now care about me a little bit more. Then I can talk about myself.
This also sums up why I hate in podcasts when the host asks, tell me about yourself. Like when that's the first question in the podcast, like I'm like, no one cares.
I have a PDF for that too. I have a template for that too. Ready? So when someone asks about yourself.
Jay, we got 6 minutes left. And
this is bunch of questions. Today. This is number 5.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
I have to be a good moderator, and that means cutting you off and asking you, can we go lightning round? And do you think you can 30-second answer a few of these?
Let's do it.
Okay, sweet, amazing. So Rami asked, I think, an excellent question, which is where can we practice the storytelling craft with high tolerance for making mistakes? How do we get good at this?
Totally. Everyone needs a creative practice, create a project that has no financial metric tied to it and really no audience metric, and ship on a deadline because it's your day. You have a ticket to the train every Thursday morning, and the only reason you're shipping is because the train is leaving, right? So like a newsletter, a blog post, wherever, get off social media and create a creative practice. Everybody you admire that's a wonderful communicator has an underpinned like creative practice. I've had a writing practice online since 2005. So put yourself on a deadline, make it weekly if you've never done this before, and ship only because the reward is you hit publish that day.
Huh. Okay. What about testing or like floating story ideas for the brand that you work for, the client that you work for? How do you sort of find the story that's going to resonate and test it?
If it's in a brand, so what I heard was, how do I practice this? What you're asking me about is, what about the game?
Yeah, and now, right, the like brand storytelling is yeah. Does this, so the question Kate asked was, does that advice change if you're talking brand storytelling versus personal brand storytelling?
I think you can do a story tour just like an author does a book tour. So, but go low friction, easy access first. So post something to social media. If you've got a small number of people responding in big ways, that's not success, but it's signal, right? Where is higher friction? Oh, I'm going to write an essay out of that social media post. Then you go, I'm going to turn the essay into a multimedia experience, a podcast, a video. Oh, I'm going to put it in my speech or ask my executive to put it in their speech. What, right? And we do it the opposite, which is a mistake. We do the big thing first with unproven material. Then we repurpose that material to smaller things, which I think is a total mistake. Act like a stand-up comic. They go to small comedy clubs to get the material right. Then they put it on the big stage for the Netflix special.
Yeah, that's a great example, great corollary. Very simple one. Sarah asks, does Jay offer business messaging consulting?
Acunzo.com. Said lightning round.
Yeah, lightning round. Christine asks, and this is actually, there are two questions that are the same here. I have a fear of being more me and bringing authentic ideas to the market because, oh my God, what if people don't like me? This is actually a fear that I have a lot. How do you handle that?
You're focused on the wrong thing. It isn't about you. It's about the audience. It's about being of use. But because you do have to turn internally and eventually talk about how you feel about something, I find the best way to do that is to start by being frustrated. Just observe your space and be like, what frustrates me? Then turn that feeling, which can be vulnerable if you just ranted publicly, into curiosity, right? It's like the match you strike, the spark, that's frustration. The kindling you light, that's curiosity. Because creativity is not the manufacturing of brilliance. It's the pursuit of curiosity, right? So start, as my friend Andrew Davis likes to say, ask questions Google can't answer, and then go on a journey to find that out. Like that's what a podcast is supposed to be for. It's not to recreate, SEO blog in audio form. It's to ask stuff that requires chopping it up with people. So be curious, not brilliant. I find it removes a lot of the imposter syndrome.
I love that. Okay. Scott asks, how can you qualify or quantify what constitutes valuable? Like this seems like a really hard thing to take this concept of that, right? Create unique value. And then, okay, what does valuable mean? How do I know that something is that, and how do I quantify it?
I wouldn't in the abstract. I would take it to the project level. So to me, I'm looking at, I'll just keep going with the podcast, right? Podcasts are actually very bad for net new audience. They're really good for activating an existing audience and deepening relationships, right? So what I want to do is look for retention. So I take it in chunks, 10 episodes of runtime, 10 episodes of publishing. Then I step back and set a benchmark for myself. What is the retention? That's a resonance signal, right? Not a reach signal. If people are sticking around, it's valuable to them, right? And so I'm not going to look at how do I measure this? I'm going to look at what is my gut telling me? Can I be more valuable? Is the insight lacking? Or is the personality or perspective lacking, right? And then I'm not going to look to put metrics against those two things. I'm going to look to put metrics on the project level, which absolutely needs you to get more creative than whatever a platform hands you. Because I'm not measuring downloads for my podcast. I'm measuring retention, time spent. My newsletter, Ann Handley talks about open to write back rate. I talk about URR, unsolicited response rate, without prompting you and gamifying it by asking you anything. Does my idea compel a response, right? that's good signal. So you're looking for a small number of people reacting in big ways in the qualitative sense. And then you're also looking at, in the individual project, what are the resonance kind of metrics versus the reach kind of metrics. And I think we have to get more creative for the first and not be quite as prone to just, oh, this platform that I use happens to show me this data, so that's what I'll use to measure things. No, you have a hypothesis, measure your progress towards that goal or, thesis you're looking at. Don't just be like, well, that's what they showed me, so I'll put that in a report.
Love it. Jay, we are out of time, but my goodness, you have been generous with yours, and we truly appreciate it. This was quite special, and it's amazing to me because a lot of the stuff that you're saying actually hits me really hard around my other company, around Snack Bar Studio, which is obviously doing a lot of storytelling inside a format that requires superb storytelling. So thank you for this personally and as SparkToro, on behalf of SparkToro. Amanda, where can folks get this recording?
Well, when we leave the stage, Goldcast is going to process it, think, whatever, and it'll be ready on this very page in just a couple minutes.
Amazing. Thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you again next time for another SparkToro Office Hours. Jay, thank you again. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.